Welcome to the Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. On this week's show, we are going to recap the UAEJJF Grand Slam, the UAE King of Mats. We are going to recap the Ultimate Mat Warriors 4, the Kasai Pro 205-pound qualifier, Fight to Win 104 in Dallas, Texas, SOGI 1, and Tim Sprigs versus Craig Jones on Grappling Industries. We are also going to preview Polaris 9. We're going to talk a little bit about Gilbert Burns versus Gleison Tebow for Titan Fights 53, and preview Fight to Win 105 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. As always, I'm your host, Maine, joined by co-host
Emil.
How you doing, Emil?
I'm doing so fucking well. I'm hype, as per usual, to cover UAEJJF
Dude, they have
Grand Slam and King of Mats.
Man, they have the best production value of any jiu-jitsu organization on the planet.
Yeah. Hands down.
It's
not even close.
It's crazy
I get
to watch
excited
every time.
Every single fucking time I watch it.
Yeah, you always miss like major invite events, but you always get UAEJJF King of Mats.
Yeah, I'm so okay with that.
It's great. So let's start off with some news here. It's been a pretty big week for news. Where do you want to start?
You tell me.
All right, let's start with Big Dog. Meta Morris has announced that they are making a comeback, and we found out how much money they owe everyone.
Yeah, there's a lot of people coming out of the woodwork, and people that we've known about for a while being like, hey, you guys still owe us fucking money.
It's a lot of guys that we've known, we're owed money, but we've never quite known, how much they were actually owed. And a big list has come out. Actually, I should have had that list in front of us. But, guys like Josh Hanger was like, look, I'm still owed $1,500.
Yeah.
And, other guys are like, I'm still owed $2,500. And, I'm still owed $1,000. A bunch of guys. I think AJ still owed $1,000.
And here's the thing. If the talent hasn't been paid, that probably means that, maybe the venue wasn't fully paid, or, the lighting production wasn't fully paid. Usually the talent gets paid almost immediately.
I know nothing about professional events other than my ability to commentate on them and talk about them. So I don't really know who gets paid first and not, but it wouldn't surprise me if no one, other people have not got paid and the athletes. So my boy Simon from Rule 7 Meal Prep called me right before we did the show and was like, did you hear Halleck's interview on the MMA Hour? And I was like, I did not. We're about to report the podcast. Please summarize. And he went, basically it seems like Halleck they're looking for an operations partner and a financial partner to continue to run the brand so that his vision, they can still.
So let me get this straight. He wants someone to run his business and pay for the event too. So
that's kind of what it
exactly
seems like.
What is he doing aside from bringing his tarnished brand in?
I don't know, man. The thing is, we should have met Morris a lot, kind of deservedly, for what they did to a lot of guys.
I recognize, and I said this when we brought them up a while back, they were the first kind of premier
in the modern era.
Yeah,
definitely. They definitely went, hey, we can put on these showcase matchups, but you gotta pay guys the money you say you're gonna pay them.
And here's the thing, 4 or 5 years ago, whatever, if they had made serious attempts to make amends, that would be great. I don't know what Meta Morris brings right now in 2019. That there's so many good promotions. There's so many. There's amazing stuff to watch all the fucking
there's
time.
that level, we have things like Kasai, we have things like
Polaris,
Fight to Win, and we have King of Mats.
Quintet.
Now, we have all these other Polaris and Quintet. We have other promotions now that are doing the big stage thing under the lights and produced well. Where Meta Morris was the first to do that, and they had a really cool format. But now we have a bunch of organizations that are doing that.
EBI.
So, EBI. You talked about, what's the thing? The word you used was a business term.
Oh, no moat. Meta Morris doesn't have a moat, basically. So that is to say that there's nothing preventing someone from coming along and doing what they do. It's not just in the future. It's already happened, and it's been happening. There's established brands already. I don't know what Meta Morris brings to the table.
Yeah. So that's what's happening with Meta Morris. On to actual news now. Let's see. Patrick Gaudio got announced for the IBJJF Heavyweight GP Grand Prix.
Woo!
Dude, I think we have more than half the names now.
Yeah.
And so that every single dude on that event is, I think, a world champion or his
ADCC champion.
ADCC champion. It's insane, the level of talent that's on that event.
So that's what, August?
It is August 24th.
Can't fucking wait.
Yeah,
Man,
and Gordon
August
Ryan
and
should be good for
September
that.
is going to be amazing for jiu-jitsu.
It's looking, dude. I realized like I put that on my event calendar like 2 months ago, and we're starting, we're like slowly getting towards it. It's still the furthest event out that was announced though. Like it's very rare stuff gets announced anything more than like 4 months out in advance. That was announced like 8 months out.
Yeah.
So that's crazy enough. Let's see. Kamaru Usman earned his black belt after beating Tyron Woodly. That happened after the show came out last week.
That was a great performance. I was super entertained by it. I know some people, some MMA fans, aren't a huge fan. I thought it was fucking dominating.
It was dominating, but
Yeah.
you and I like different things in fights, apparently.
Hey, I like people getting smashed in the face too, but there's something impressive about taking a fucking champ like Tyron Woodley and, completely dismantling him. So,
In other news, Polaris announced that there will be sports betting for Polaris 9.
holy shit.
Dude, I love sports betting. And I love it so much I don't really do it because I know myself and I'm like, I probably shouldn't do this.
Yeah, probably.
Because I have a personality that somewhat latches onto things.
Just a little obsessive, maybe? A little compulsive?
A little bit. Considering that, like, I broke my back and injured it, and all I've done is, like, okay, I'm going to get super into the podcast we do now and just, like, promote the hell out of it and do other stuff and talk to people and, DM us.
Yeah, stay away from Maine. Stay away from sports betting.
Yeah, but I might put a little money down on some guys I think are going to win.
So you've been slipping into some DMs?
Slipping into some DMs.
Nice. Classy.
Yeah. But also, like, guys, like, not guys that have good matches. I've been like, hey, I want to ask guys, as we start to think about doing more interviews or any interviews, like, talk to guys, see, like, who we want to talk to, see who's, like, willing to talk to us as we sort of, move forward and promote the show more. Do promote the show. So if you like the show, please share it out to people at your gym. That's the best way that we grow the show. And if you like it, hopefully they'll like it too.
Yeah.
So, we're looking to do some more interviews and basically figuring out, like, who we want to interview, what kind of questions we want, because we don't want to be another interview show. But, like, there's certain guys that we would like to talk to because we think they have good insight on, like, the current meta and, like, specific matchups that are coming up that they'll be on.
Yeah, I just off the top of my head, I've brought this up a few times, but talking to Mateus Lutz at SAGC7 was fucking great. Hearing his perspective on rule sets was really enlightening.
And they offer a level of analysis that I am not qualified to have or
100%.
do right now. So I think like there's some cool opportunities there. So we're looking to do that in the future. In other news, some other news, there was a really weird image that came out. It was a GB, like an internal thing from GB. This again, we don't usually get into politics, but it was weird enough. I wanted to talk
Gracie
about
Barra.
it. Yeah, Gracie Barra Threats to the Red Shield, and it's a image that came up on Reddit, and it was really interesting and kind of weird, and I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, it's like loosely kind of canned as like a code of ethics type thing, but like it's just got a little of that weird kind of like
Cultiness.
Yeah, So if you're new to jiu-jitsu and you haven't read it yet, Ryan Hall has an amazing open letter about hero worship in general, but like specifically within martial arts, and it's very applicable to jiu-jitsu. And just go and read it. It's really good. It's so easy to to find an amazing coach and look up to them and think that they're amazing, but all a black belt means is that you are good at jiu-jitsu. Like, it doesn't mean that you're good at life, that you have your shit together, that
you fight real good,
that you're
or
emotionally
you fight for a real
stable.
Long time.
Like, just read what Ryan Hall has to say. I go back and look at that frequently. It's a really well-written open letter, but it's kind of talking about stuff like this, which is why I brought it up.
So, not to belabor that point. You got anything else for news?
That's it.
All right, I think.
Actually, I do. We have 2 Grappling Rewind recommends matches.
Oh, that's in news?
Yeah, dude. I wanna give people a heads up.
Okay.
There are 2 fire matches we're gonna be talking about. Both of them are in the Abu Dhabi London Grand Slam.
You're doing that like radio announcer pause voice. Like both of them are in the Abu Dhabi Grand. I fucking hate that.
That's mainly because
I hate that shit.
I'm pulling the matches up now. It's Joao Gabriel and Thiago George, and then also Paulo Miyao and Isaac Doderlin. We're gonna get into those momentarily.
Yeah, and eventually I will actually have an article up on our website with this entire list up of all the matches. But right now I'm a little swamped with other website stuff, so that will be up there sooner rather than later. Hopefully by the end of this month it will be up there. If not, you just got to look through the podcast when we talk about it. But those are for news. Unless you got anything else, Emil?
That's it.
All right, let's move on to the next show, next segment. So on to a recap of the 2019 Abu Dhabi Grand Slam in London, Great Britain. This event was a whole lot of fun. We love covering these Grand Slam events for UAEJJF. They're very hard to cover, so we're just going to touch on a couple of the matches.
We'll go to the finals, and holy shit, we talk about this every time we cover them. The production value is incredible.
It's the best production quality in jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
Hands down. They have picture-in-picture. I also like
multiple camera angles.
Yep. Good commentary, professional commentary.
Great commentary, good reffing,
Yep.
instant replay.
Yeah. And they'll stop matches to check stuff.
Yep.
Guys still get Brazilian, but
yeah,
they'll stop a match and like check stuff, and they do picture-in-picture cam. They do like an overhead cam. They do a walkout. They have like good, what are they called? Like graphics on with the person name. They actually list the person's name and their full last name. And it's just great. Also, I love their format, the 6-minute match. You know, you don't see a lot of stalling. They're aggressive with penalties. Like, man, UAEJJF, from a professional, like, league organization, does a great job.
It's
if you are trying to run an event, look at these guys.
It's my favorite gi event, hands down. Now, I know they have a different kind of financial backing than most people, but that is the gold standard for sure.
They do a good job, and it shows for you. Want to start with black belts?
Yeah, let's start at the bottom. So for this is the male adult black belt at 56 kilograms. We have Carlos Oliveira defeating Nobuhiro Sawada 4-0. Then we have our first Rewind Recommends match of the evening.
Have we ever had a Rewind Recommend match for UAEJJF?
I don't.
This might be the first one we've had for them.
I think so.
All right.
So this is 62 kilograms. We have Joao Gabriel versus Thiago George, and Joao wins on advantages. 4-2. This is a phenomenal match. This match has fucking like controversial fucking takedowns. People trying to escape the fucking.
Just the speed. Just the speed of this match alone is worth a watch. It's 6 minutes. There's some instant replay review. The match starts off. Go to the start of the match.
Yeah, it is a like a fucking running double leg takedown attempt.
Mixed with a guard pull.
And the ref is just not fucking having it. He's like, nah, that's 2 points, hands down. And it happens again where
they stop the match and they review it, and the ref goes, yeah, that was 2 points. Gives them the 2 points.
Yep.
Move on.
And so that was Joao Gabriel getting the 2-point takedown off of the double leg. And at one point, he is fucking savagely attacking a single leg, and Thiago George is desperately trying to crawl his way out of the mat to avoid the takedown.
He's fleeing. He's fleeing the mat. Obviously fleeing the mat.
Thiago yanks his leg back in, and Joao yanks Thiago's leg back into the mat, and
Thiago's hopping, trying to hop and crawl his way off the mat.
And the ref is brings him back in, gives 2 points to Joao, and then gives a penalty to Thiago George. No fucking question. And meanwhile, this insane, intense match is going down. They have a picture-in-picture of Thiago's girlfriend and training partner, Tamara Silva,
who I think might be coaching him or yelling
she is
aggressively
coaching
from the stands.
They were talking about that. It's such a fucking good match. It's so dramatic. It's so the production value is so good because you can see her expressions throughout the match. She's trying to coach Thiago. Thiago's fucking taking it to Joao, even though Joao comes out on top. And holy shit, Joao is fucking amped when he wins this.
Yeah, he's his face is bleeding because he's been blocking the regard with his face for the last probably 30, the whole match, but the last 30 seconds of the match, aggressively.
He gets an ad on the most like savage fucking passing like I've seen from a fucking lightweight in a long time.
It's just an amazing match, super active, like really good technique, really good throw passing. But what sets this match apart, why it makes this rewind record? Why do we make it rewind like the hardest thing for me to say? That double R messes me up so much.
Hey, alliteration's great, man.
What makes it a rewind recommends match for me is the speed and the technique these guys have at that speed.
Yes.
Like at no point does this match get like
even
just, like,
remotely boring.
It's like there's a little bit of like in the guard and like some technical work, but there's no point where I'm like, man, they should pass the guard or stand up. Like you get activity.
These guys are going fucking ham,
and because they're trying to win money. This is the finals for UAEJJF. If you win money at a Grand Slam, you get like $2,500.
Yeah, there's also the commentators were talking about like team pride riding on this match a little bit.
Yeah.
There was like a controversial decision earlier on
for Joao.
Yeah,
for Joao Miyao, he lost a decision in another bracket. I wish I should know that. And then
yeah, I can't remember, but they were talking about it
in
like
the match.
The two gyms were fucking going at it. You could see it coming out in the competitors. So.
Yeah, and Joao wins, and it is Joao Gabriel Batista de Souza. I mean, he has 4. I'm reading the results here, and I keep thinking it's the last name I'm having to read. Joao Gabriel Batista de Souza.
Yep.
He wins, and he just like Kat Zingano yells at the end of the match and just screams, and you're like, man, he is amped.
It's phenomenal. Definitely go back. And
I wish we had a camera on us when we were rewatching this match, because I was yelling at my screen while Emil in my basement recording. I was yelling at my screen like, "Holy shit!"
Maine was cheesing the whole time. Dude.
It's a great match.
It's a great match.
So anything else to add on that match?
Nah, we'll go to the next one, which is also a Rewind recommends match. This is 69 kilograms. Paulo Miyao defeating Isaac Doderlin. There is a hideous knee bar on Paulo off the top. And
Highwell Teague is commentating. And by the way, everyone gives Highwell a lot of shit. That dude is a really good commentator.
Yeah.
Like, man, I don't know. I have to have heard him on commentary before. I am really impressed by his commentary. Like, man, he knows the game well.
He's an excellent commentator. He's one of the better ones that I've ever heard, actually.
And he was talking about, the Miaos don't really tap to footlocks.
He was like, we haven't seen one tap to a footlock.
He goes, ever.
Yeah.
And then I was looking back. There's a compilation, like, GIF. There's a bunch of GIFs online. It's in an imager somewhere of just the Miyao, of guys, like, destroying their feet and them not tapping.
Ugh.
There's, like, I think there's Tonin with a toe hold. There's Cummings with a
knee
heel
bar
hook.
is just, it's hyperextended. Like, the knee is so hyperextended on this. I don't care how flexible you are. It is so fucking gross to look at. It's incredible. So basically,
it's gross in the gi pants.
Isaac was on top passing, and Paulo completely inverts. And Isaac does this really slick kind of just like sit back into the knee bar, like from the full inversion. It was a great way to deal with a really frustrating guard. He doesn't,
and it would tap anyone else.
100%. It would probably blow out a lot of people's knees.
It would blow out my knee.
Yeah, my knee almost blew out looking at it.
Yeah.
Paulo doesn't tap, obviously, and actually he comes up and gets the sweep. It comes completely down to the wire. It's 4-2 for Paulo.
No. It was 4 at the.
No, it's 4-2 for Paulo.
Okay,
and, there's like 40 seconds left, and they're in 50-50, and Isaac just he leaves nothing on the mat. He just starts going for these 50-50 sweeps, and with like 10 seconds left, he comes up on this fucking absurd 50-50 sweep where the two of them are just battling it out.
Like it's some of the craziest 50-50 action I've ever seen. Yeah. Because both guys, like, it's not even that, like, really technical 50-50. It's just like, how much do you want it?
Right.
And that's it. You just watch, you see Doderlin, and it's like, how much does this dude want this sweep? And it gets me out over, and you're like, holy shit, he wants it more than anyone's ever wanted it ever.
Yeah, exactly.
And he gets him over. He gets Miyao over. And this is where...
And he gets Miao's hips to the mat, too.
Yeah.
But not enough time for the refs to award the sweep, as it turns out. And it gets really controversial. The center ref awards 2 points. The outside corner refs do not. They go to instant replay.
Which is what you should do in a finals match at a professional for money.
But... if they were seeing the same instant replay we were seeing, there was some fuckery going on, because there was a very good angle where you could see Miao's hips on the mat, so all you needed to do was stay on that angle to count the time, and they kept fucking cutting away from it to like angles where everything was obscured, and then they were like, oh, I don't know, blah,
Yo,
blah, blah, blah.
if you turn into conspiracy bro
I am
on this show,
I am 100%. There's some fuckery going on.
I mean, you've had a great run. We're gonna replace you with a blue belt that's super into
Just look into it, man.
into overtime.
Look
rules.
into it. Anyway,
So and honestly, like
it was a great match. Like
on the other end of that, like from what I saw, I think it's a really tough call for the sweep anyway.
it was a tough call.
Like it's one of those where it's like, okay, is he fully controlled for the 3 seconds
because Paulo
of the match? And
Paulo
it's like, I don't know.
lifts his hips up, and they're in this hilarious, bizarre, like mutually suspended, like situation where like both of their hips are off the fucking mat. So. Anyway, the match is still fucking great.
It's a great match. Paulo Miyao defeats Isaac Doderlin 4-2 in a little bit of controversy, but just a beautifully crazy match as well.
Yep.
So move on to the next division, the black belt adult male 77-kilogram division.
Max Lindblad defeats Guillermo Rocha 4-2.
And then on to the male black belt 85-kilogram match.
Hulk Barbosa defeats Charles Negromonte 5-0. Hulk basically hits a beautiful Morote Seoi Nagi. So, the drop Seoi Nagi. It's basically the same thing, except you're doing you do it with a collar grip instead of both hands on the arm. It's
honestly it's the Seoi Nagi you see more commonly.
Yes,
it's that same side grip on the outside lapel that you're to the side that you're spinning to.
Yep,
and a lot of times guys will do it with 2 hands on the lapel, but
Yep.
Barbosa actually does it with 1 hand on the lapel, 1 hand on like the shoulder or like the arm.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is actually the more standard way you see it.
Right.
And when you see guys hit Seoi Nagi in judo, this is, at least in my limited judo experience, this is how I see it usually hit.
This is also like how the TLI guys train wreck, basically.
Well, this is how I screwed up my shoulder and elbow even more.
Yeah.
Because I hit this and I lean the elbow super far up when I do it, and so I put all the pressure on my shitty shoulder joint because I spin to the whatever this way is.
The left?
The left. I spin to the left, so all the pressure's in the right arm, and that's my bad shoulder.
You guys didn't miss, or you guys definitely just missed Maine spinning around in his chair, not figuring out which side was his left side.
I have dyscalculia, which means I can't do right and left.
Got it. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay.
That's why I'm so
I'll
bad
add that
like...
to the list of like fucking weird shit Maine has.
Uh-huh.
So Hulk hits this beautiful Morote Seoi Nagi.
Hold up. Have you never driven anywhere with me?
No.
Oh, yeah, I can't do right and left.
Oh.
Like you always, if you drive with me ever, you have to like, if you go right, you've got to point to what side of the car it is, or else I'll turn the wrong way.
You must be a fucking bizarre person to learn jiu-jitsu from.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Hopkins students know because I'll basically point to a student and they'll go, they all know it now. So I'll be teaching something and then I'll go, then you go to your, and I'll point at someone and they'll go left, and then I'll go left, and then we continue going. But it runs seamlessly now because everyone knows I can't do it, and we work around it.
Okay, I guess it hasn't come up in the podcast, but so Hulk hits a fucking amazing backstep pass, and at this point, it's game over. He just fucking crushes it. So
that's having a world champion. Like, man, he's so good. He's so fun to watch. In another, I think this match or another match, he hits like a beautiful like fireman's.
Yes.
I forget if that was the semifinals or the match before this, but I forget who was on. But there's a GIF going around of him in that dope like gold Atos and black. It's like the black and gold Atos gi, which is one of my favorite gi combinations ever. I love that gi that he has.
Yep.
And hits this beautiful like fireman's carry.
So next up, 94 kilograms, we have Kenan Duarte defeating Adam Wardzinski via toe hold. Yeah, this was a fucking beatdown. Takedown, knee cut pass. Wardzinski throws up a desperation toe hold. You fucking live by the toe hold. You die by the fucking toe hold. You better fucking sell out for that shit against Kenan Duarte because he's going to rip your fucking foot off, which is exactly what happens.
He will rip your foot off. I think are both these guys in the same division for ADCC?
Probably.
I'm looking, and I can't find Kenan Duarte. And Kenan Duarte and Adam Wardzinski. Adam Wardzinski is the European trials winner.
Man, he's going to get his shit pushed in, man. It's fucking absurd. Like, that was a bananas fucking... It was completely domination. He could have won on points, and he decides to just submit. Kenan just submits him.
Yeah, and Kenan got the 99 spot as an invitation. So that will be super exciting. Hopefully we'll see that again.
Yeah, amazing performance from still a pretty damn new black belt.
This is his first year black belt, second year?
I don't think it's been a full calendar year. Maybe it has, but
No, I think we talked about him getting his black belt on the show.
yeah.
So I think he's been a black belt. We didn't talk about that. We talked about the new house. So yeah, it's been less than a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wardzinski's had it, I think they said, since 2016.
Wardzinski's amazing. I love his butterfly guard study.
Yep.
Like that dude, we just got to the video on Wardzinski. We don't bring it up enough. I absolutely love it. And he's one of the only guys at a high level that plays butterfly guard and actually can like make it work at a high level. So both these guys are super fun to watch.
Yep.
Men's black belt adult 110 kilogram division.
That would be
Ricardo Evangelista
defeating Helton Jr. 3-1 on advantages.
So on to the female results. We have the women's under 49 kilogram division. Maisa Bastos defeats Juliana
Pereira
via choke from the back.
We have the black belt adult 55 kilograms. We have Anna Rodriguez defeating Rose El Sharon via choke from the back.
UAEJJF does combine female, brown, and black because typically the registration for the women is smaller at their events. So in order to make the divisions big enough, I kind of wish they'd stop doing it at this point because there are enough female, brown, and black belts usually to have like at least a couple people in each division. Yeah. But I do understand why they do it. But it is a holdover from a different time.
Yes.
So on to the next division.
Ffion Dvaies defeats Larissa Pace 11-4. Tamara Silva defeats Samantha Cook via toe hold.
That's in the 70 kilogram division.
And finally, Gabriele Pasanha defeats Martha Sazareka via choke from the back.
So
great event. 90 kilograms.
The videos are up. You have to go to videos to watch the videos for the event because if you go to results on Flow Grappling
and click watch video, it does not load.
It doesn't load. It just loads like a blank static screen. So you got to go to videos to watch it, but definitely worth it. Eventually, I'll have the Rewind Recommends matches up on our website with links directly to the video to Flow Grappling. So highly recommend it. A lot of fun. Some great matches. And anything else?
No, let's talk about King of Mats.
You want to move directly into King of Mats?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
All right, Emil, I got to get my stuff up here. Then I do the intro for the event. So on to a 2019 UAE Abu Dhabi King of Mats, the lightweights in London, Great Britain that took place the day after the Open.
Yeah, the Grand Slam.
The Grand Slam. I was called the Open. The Grand Slam for UAE.
They bring in, basically the top performers from the Grand Slam into the King of Mats.
And they also bring in you have to be a previous Grand Slam winner to be in the King of Mats.
And it's basically an awesome round-robin format. Basically, they will take 10 people. They split them off into 2 groups of 5. They round-robin each other, and then the top 2 competitors from each group face off in the semifinals, and then finally get knocked down into the finals.
So you want to start off with the finals and go through results? Or you want to start off at the beginning?
Let's start off with the groups. So in Group A, we have Thiago George, Li Ting, Joao Neto, Joao Gabriel, and Nobuhiro Sawada.
That was good. You butchered it the first time, but that was good the second time.
In Group B, we have Isaac Doderlin, Carlos Silva, Paulo Miyao, Samir Chantre, and Thiago Bravo. We won't go through the round robin part because there's just so much to permute. But basically,
what was that word?
Permute.
Explain that.
It's like basically if you have different results, you have to go through each
like parse.
Yeah, parsing it.
Okay.
Parsing and permuting is similar.
Huh.
So
okay. The more you know. We're learning all sorts of shit today.
So out of Group A, Joao Gabriel takes the first seed spot with 3 wins and 1 loss.
And it's a loss by decision, which is important because you get varying amounts of points if you win by sub, by points, or by decision.
That's right.
And so it does change up how many points you get moving forward into out of the group stage into the seeded stage.
And Thiago George takes the number 2 spot with 3 wins and 1 loss, also by decision. In Group B, Paulo Miyao sweeps the group with 4 wins.
Surprising, really no one.
Yeah, and Isaac Doderlin takes number 2 with 3 wins, including 1 submission, but he loses to Paulo. So those are the people that move on to the semifinals, basically. So the top seed from Group A goes against the second seed in Group B and vice versa. So Paulo Miyao defeats Thiago George 1-0 on advantages. This was a match entirely consisting of sweeps from 50-50. I'm not even sure if they disengaged from the same 50-50. It was just back and forth.
Dude, Paulo's been playing. Guys playing a lot of 50-50 on Paulo because he has to get there to get the back. Like, that's his preferred back-taking method nowadays.
Yeah, it was not as high energy as the Grand Slam. And then in the other semifinals, Isaac Doderlin defeats Joao Gabriel by wrist lock.
Yeah.
So he has a dope step around, sort of like Toriando style pass to like a standing north-south, and he just immediately launched. So imagine that Isaac Doderlin is standing over, and he basically just shoots in for an inverted triangle. And he uses it for control to attack Kimura for a little while. But eventually he's like, fuck it. And he goes for the fucking wrist lock.
This is a really good position to wrist lock from, by the way. Like, because the principle that makes the wrist lock work really well is everyone thinks, like, oh, you got to control the hand. Like, really, you have to control the elbow. Like, the elbow is what gives you the wrist lock. And from this inverted triangle position, their elbow is on the thigh. And so it can't go anywhere. It can't move. It can't be pushed down across the body. And so if you start attacking the hand, the elbow has no place to go, and it gives you leverage to attack the wrist in this way. Really great position. It's honestly, as far as wrist locks go, like, we'll see guys like DJ Jackson hit a lot of wrist locks from like top side control in that like the big brother position where he just pushes the wrist into the body. But the other way you see kind of the majority of wrist locks at a top level hit is from this inverted triangle because the elbow has no place to go.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see, and the camera angle was really good on it too. It was like above and over, and you got a really good angle on the finish here.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful submission. So the finals are going to be Paulo Miyao and Isaac Doderlin. This is a fucking awesome match as well. It's a rematch from the day before, basically.
This match is super freaky because I watched this match and then we rewatched the Rewind Record men's match, and I was like, "Is this the same match?"
Yeah,
like
Maine was
he's like,
crossing
no,
the streams a little bit.
I was for sure, because what threw me off really was at one point High Will Teague, Doderlin goes for, I forget, some kind of foot
toe
lock.
hold, or
might have been toe hold, and then Highwell says almost the exact same thing he had said the day before, like verbatim, like, "Oh yeah, we've never seen the Miaos like tap the footlocks," and it was like the exact same choice of words, the same cadence, and I was like, "Okay, this is the same match." And he's like, "No, it's a different match."
Yeah. So in this case, Doderlin hits an awesome fucking textbook collar drag on Miyao, and it just activates like insane Miyao. Like he just will not tolerate you.
In your notes, it says Miyao goes for a crazy Barambola.
Yeah, because it's like he's like ferociously going for it. You know, like he's pretty intense, but you can see that he's so pissed off that he got fucking collar dragged.
John 3:16 on his face.
So this is where I was like, you know, given how much the refs fucking agonized over the 50-50 sweep from the day before and didn't give Isaac Doderlin the points, Conspiracy Emil's coming back, and this ref was fucking quick to give Miyao the points on this shit. Again, against the American underdog. There's a double guard pull. Neither come up within the 20 seconds, so the refs are like, this is some fucking bullshit.
This was a penalty-heavy match.
Yeah.
I was really concerned that we were going to get a double DQ in the finals. I was like, oh, dear God,
there was one
please.
point where they both, each competitor, Isaac Doderlin and Paulo Miyao, had the maximum number of penalties before.
Which is 3. And so the next penalty that someone gets is a DQ. And because you're even on penalties, each guy has been getting like mirrored penalties. And I was like, if we get a double DQ in the finals after yesterday, I will be pissed.
So it comes down to the wire, and it's a ref's decision. And despite the fact that Isaac was fucking passing heavy, he loses the ref's decision. It goes back to the like emphasis of being in guard.
You can hear Emil rolling his eyes at this. And so this is honestly, I thought the same thing Emil thought. Like, I thought Doderlin gets this decision here. But I am also super biased because I watch Fight to Win every week. And I am super accustomed to the fight to win style of decisions where they reward activity and submission attempts. And it's kind of honestly thrown me off from watching IBJJF and UAEJJF for their scoring and their decisions, because they have significantly different scoring criteria for who they will give a decision to. And I need to go back and kind of refresh myself for what their decision scoring criteria is, because I saw Doderlin, basically, if this was a fight to win match, Doderlin will win this.
So
and I went, okay, and then he doesn't win it. I go, ooh, okay, I need to go back and do some more research here, because I obviously do not have a good understanding of what constitutes a ref's decision in these traditional events.
The commentators at Spider talked about it during the Levi Jones-Leary match where he lost the decision, and it's really good. It's a great breakdown of specifically IBJJF.
And UAEJJF uses a really, really similar decision criteria, almost the same decision criteria.
It's basically like they will go, if someone's in guard and passing and they're tied up at the end of the match, they will give the decision to the person who has the guard, which just boggles my mind. I don't understand.
I mean, they put the onus on the passer, which I kind of understand. You can't, because it is easier to stall on top, and I will give them that it's easier to stall on top. Usually, you see guys. Yeah, I think that's why they give it. I think that's why they give it. It makes sense in that way. But again, we've seen enough guys stall in both positions where it's like, yeah, it might be easier to stall on top, but you can definitely stall on the bottom. Again, this isn't really a stalling match, but it just kind of highlights my need to go back and refresh myself with what constitutes a decision victory for UAEJJF and for IBJJF, because Fight to Win has me spoiled, because I can watch a match and go, that guy won, and then Fight to Win goes, yep, that guy won.
But it's great. Definitely, as I talk about all the time, go and watch these Abu Dhabi events. They're fucking incredible. They are my favorite gi events.
Yeah, and it's definitely the highest quality production that we have in jiu-jitsu, so worth your time, worth your money. Go back and watch it. Also, you get these invitational events, you get just an outstanding level of competitive that they get there. You cannot get into the King of Mats events unless you're a Abu Dhabi Grand Slam champion. And that's like a paid position. It's a title. It's a pretty big deal. You get a lot of points for it in UAEJJF, and man, I honestly can't say enough good things. Like, the rule set is good, the format's good, the 6-minute matches as opposed to the 10-minute black belt matches, I think, keep the action a lot better. They're more aggressive with their penalties.
Yeah, the refs are no nonsense.
And they have the replay. Like, it does so many things right, and I think if we're going to start to see more and more professional jiu-jitsu events in, like a formatted league, like kind of what the IJF does with judo and, like, what the wrestling federations do, it's going to come from UAEJJF. They're just doing a lot of the right things, and they're putting the production into jiu-jitsu that it deserves on a circuit level.
Yep, hands down.
So that does it for that event. On to the next one. So on to our recap of Grappling Industries Tim Sprigs versus Craig Jones. This event took place in Philly on March 10th, and I didn't get to go, and I was kind of upset.
It looked like an awesome event. We had training partners, former training partners that went to compete. But also, this is a Scott. He posted on Instagram with Craig Jones.
Craig Jones. Not Craig Jones, Craig Jones.
That's
I'll get there eventually, man. But this was a fun matchup. Emil, behind the curtain, wasn't as hyped for this matchup as we made it out to seem. I was super hyped for this matchup because I fucking love both. I love watching both these guys compete.
I mainly don't like sub-only formats like this.
Oh, you don't want to watch 45 to 95 minutes of two guys, try to do the same thing?
No, fortunately, Craig fucking stepped it up, and he ended that shit in like 5 minutes, and it was super entertaining.
Dude, this was impressive. There's two pieces of this match that I want to talk about, and like let's start with the middle sequence of the match. At about 2 minutes or so into the match, Craig Jones gets.
So he's in knee shield, but
Craig Jones plays a really, really low knee shield. Like, so he's on his side, and he's almost laid down completely onto the mat.
He's okay being pancaked because he has such long legs. So like, even if his legs are squashed together, he's taking the bottom leg and slipping it in between and kind of hooking Tim Sprigs' legs to prevent him from going to either side. So he's totally cool. Also, Craig is probably super fucking strong, and he can like frame out and prevent someone from kind of like, gradually crawling up you when you're completely pancaked like that.
You mean a high-level black belt is very strong?
Yeah, but there's different levels. There's levels of this shit, Maine.
There are levels of the shit.
Stop looking at me like that.
I'm giving you shit because honestly, like, I was really impressed. It was one of the other things I noted when Emil and I were watching this match was that, like, man, most guys are super hesitant to be in a knee shield this low, especially with a really like
knees
aggressive
touching
passer.
Together, basically. Like,
yeah. Well, also the thing that really got me was Craig Jones isn't framed up on his bottom elbow here.
Yeah,
he's like laying flat and like going for
almost like a fucking paint me like one of your French girls pose.
Yes, but he's not on the elbow. He's
Yeah.
like laying down, and it's really impressive. You don't see a lot of guys play from this super, super low position, especially against a guy who's as strong a knee cut passer as Sprigs.
So what ends up happening is Craig kind of like tucks in and he starts going for Kimura on the far arm. And
Because he's so low, it's not an angle that guys usually attack that from.
he then like steps his foot out from the
knee shield.
the knee shield, and he steps it over the shoulder because he's that flexible.
Yeah.
And he just starts
So
ripping.
he's basically inverted on the Kimura as he's rolling through, and Sprigs realizes like, oh shit, this is getting deep.
Sprigs has to fucking bail. Like he does a front roll basically,
And Craig follows him into the armbar off the Kimura.
yeah, it was awesome. Tim is able to scramble out. It looked like he was kind of guarding that arm for a little bit afterwards. I wasn't sure if it was like soreness or
For the
what.
next minute,
Yeah.
he had the arm real close to the body, and Craig would kind of grab at it, and Sprigs would disengage the hand really quickly. And I was like, ooh, interesting, because Sprigs is a guy that'll kind of we see him break grips in a really specific way, and he didn't break the grip in the way we're used to seeing him break the grip here. And I was like, oh, interesting. So maybe his arm was hurt a little bit. Hope it's not, because I want to see him. He got announced for Kasai.
Yeah,
So I want to see him on that.
He looked back to normal
Yeah.
after like a minute, but you could tell like, or maybe it was just me projecting, but it looked like he felt that Kimura. So
Or the armbar. One of the two
Yeah.
was like, because Craig rolls through and he escapes, but it was a tough
it was
escape.
tight. It was very tight. Yeah, but basically Craig is able to finish the match the way he fucking loves to, which is to get to an inside heel hook, and that is just a fucking bad place to be.
Dude,
with Craig
he
on your
rolls
foot.
through and then he extends out on the leg, and then Sprigs can't cover the angle to move back into Craig Jones because Craig Jones makes him cover like a 270-degree angle with his body, and he's just not able to make the angle adjustment in time, and Craig gets it. I want to see these guys rematch. This was a great match. This was really good. This was exciting. Like, this is
good.
what no time limit jiu-jitsu can look like. Like, two guys going at it. At no point did they do that disengagey thing where both guys kind of like pat at each other for 5 minutes. Like, Sprigs is aggressive on top, Jones is aggressive on the bottom, and then at one point, like, we see him reverse a little bit, and both guys are willing to engage in the position, and you get exciting matches like this. Like, the format does work. It's just we get a lot of matches that go real long, but when it works well, you get awesome matches like this.
Yeah.
So super excited to see what both these guys bring. We're seeing Craig be way more active, and we're seeing Sprigs on basically everything he can get on.
Yeah.
Like, we saw him BJJ Stars, we saw him on Spider, we saw him on this. Like I like guys being active, especially if you're making that run up to ADCC. Both these guys have their spot
Yeah.
at ADCC. Like,
Yeah.
are they in the same division?
I can't remember.
They might be even in the same division. And so it's like, I love seeing guys be super active and like showing us that, like, hey, I'm taking ADCC seriously. I'm doing a bunch of competition. So when I get to ADCC, it's just another competition because I've been there a bunch this year.
Yep.
And that's when you see guys be really successful, usually, is the guys that are super like into that competition mindset, into the competition, like they're used to the lights. Both these guys are doing that. And most of the guys in these divisions are doing it. It's going to be a banger year for ADCC.
Hell yeah.
So that's all I got on that. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, let's move on. So on to our recap of Fight to Win 104 in Dallas, Texas. This event paid out a total of $50,080 in salaries and commissions, and this is the highest payout in Fight to Win history.
Holy shit. I mean, like, that is a huge leap because usually we see them, in the, like, 20s and 30s? Like, 30s.
28 to 36 is a good payout,
Yeah.
but, like, 50?
This is their
Ludicrous.
most stacked card, too. Like, you just look at everything on this card. It's all the co-mains.
The main event? Dude, your main event was Yuri Simoes versus Rafael every time, man.
Yeah.
Rafael Lovato Jr.
Yep.
I see that R in the first name, and I just automatically make it an H sound now.
Yeah.
This many years of jiu-jitsu, you just do that.
It's just so fucking good. You know, we had 4 judo matches, you know, like
We had Seth Daniels in a jiu-jitsu match.
yeah, with a fucking broken hand.
Let's kick off Fight to Win with that.
Okay.
So, a couple things. So, Seth Daniels, CEO of Fight to Win, black belt in judo, was Olympic judo hopeful. He trained at the Olympic Judo Training Center for a long time in Colorado. Now runs Fight to Win. He just got his black belt last year in jiu-jitsu under Amal Easton. I think maybe under someone else, but he's an Easton guy. and he got, what was it, 2 weeks ago now? Had neck surgery on his neck, and then took a judo match, the first judo match he'd taken in 10 years, or 12 years, sorry. And then he broke his hand on Thursday, I think, and didn't pull out of his match this weekend against another dope black belt.
I guess in training he said that his hand got caught in a gi, and just it's one of those off. I have a finger that's like permanently bent from an injury like that.
Do you?
Oh yeah.
Which hand?
Oh
my God.
Yeah.
That's super creepy. All right, we do the picture. That's the picture you're gonna hold. That's the hand you're gonna hold up now. Wait, it doesn't extend?
No.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. From a gi?
Yeah.
So you train no gi.
Yes, that's why exactly.
So out of this, there came something really interesting. It was an article was posted in Jiu-Jitsu Times because Seth Daniels wins his match by toe hold, and it was discussed as George Perez at one point starts attacking Seth's broken hand. He's in an electric chair and he's trying to get Seth off, and he starts kind of attacking the broken hand. And it brought up an interesting thing in the community was like, hey, if someone's competing, how do you feel about like specifically attacking a known injury that they have?
I think the community is kind of in agreement on this. Like, you're in a combat sport, you go in with an injury, it's fair game. You know, you're making the decision to go on to the mats in a combat sport, and that's on you.
Yeah, that's how that's how I feel. Like, it's definitely an interesting like decision you have to make. Like, do you want to attack it or not attack it? Like, my goal when I go and compete, and it's nothing personal, and I completely understand if somebody doesn't feel that way, is like I'm trying to put as much damage on you as quickly as possible. And so, like, if you have an injury and that gives me a quicker path, like I assume you're trying to do the same thing to me.
Yeah.
Like, I assume if I go in with any sort of injury, like, you're going to attack that. On this podcast, I've talked about a bunch of injuries. Like, I assume that anyone that listens to the show that competes against me is going to specifically target some stuff that they know is not as good on me.
I'm going to target that shit on you, man.
Right. Because it gives you an advantage. And so, like, our goal, our sport is not like a nice sport. It's a combat sport. I'm trying to hurt you enough to quit.
Yeah.
And so if you can mess with the hand and, like, make Seth quit, which you probably can't do because he's super fucking tough. But
he was grimacing, but you could see he was like not letting go of the. We'll cover the match more specifically, but like it, it's fair game because part of it is also like where do you draw the line? Like,
right.
If you're to say like, oh well, it's cool in some places to go after, but not cool in others. Like, that's such a nebulous thing. Just fucking go for it. Is stripping the hand okay? Is like going for wrist locks okay? There's too many ways.
Right. But I thought Seth's response here was really interesting. He's like, yeah, we're totally fine, but as soon as you go for the hand, like, I'm trying to rip your shit off too.
Yep.
And I went, that's reasonable.
Seth does rip his shit off.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Let's stop.
So let's move. Let's go to the top of the card to the hot, spicy fire matchup that I was super excited for all weekend because it's great. We had Rafael Lovato Jr. versus Yuri Simoes.
So this is just like basically as high caliber as you can get.
And this is for the title, too. Yeah. Rafael, God damn it.
Rafael
his name is not Rafael. Rafael, I'm going to do it forever, man.
So,
in my head, he's Rafael.
Like ADCC champs, like, that's fucking...
Rafael has had the title, has pick and choose. He's the most accomplished American black belt ever.
Right.
But he has had the fight to win title for a while now, if not forever. He's had it for as long as I've been watching.
I don't know who could like reasonably give him a run except another ADCC champ, Yuri Simoes. So like perfect fucking matchup. That's just exactly the kind of thing that we want to see. This is just an incredible card. Has a ton of talent on it. I mean, dude, the co-main event is Manuel Ribamar versus DJ Jackson. That could have been a headliner in and of itself.
Yeah.
Like, this is a stacked card. It's clear that Fight to Win is really ramping up their production and their talent.
And it
shows see in the payout.
The picture is back too.
Yeah.
So they have the names back and they have the times back. Like, So let's go into this matchup.
Yeah. So it starts off very collar tie heavy. And eventually Yuri hits a body lock takedown. Rafael gets out and he throws up and it's like kind of nasty looking steamer lock at one point, which is, unfortunately, like, for Rafael, it didn't sway it, but I would never have guessed how this match sort of ended towards, or rather where it went in towards the end of the match. You actually saw these guys in 50-50, which is just like, I don't think of Rafael Lovato Jr. or Yuri Simoes as 50-50 guys, and I know that it's a position the same as any other that people can land in, it's still funny for me to see these two.
No, you
dudes,
think
like,
it was,
land
but they're
there.
both like top pressure, heavy, like wrestler, like top control, joint lock guys.
Yep.
I wouldn't really think of either of these guys as like a particular like leg lock aficionados. Like I know they obviously can do it. You don't compete at that level without having a full depth of game. But yeah, I also thought it was kind of funny. It's like, oh, look at that, 50-50.
Yeah. So Yuri Simoes wins out on sort of like aggression. So
Yeah, unanimous decision, just does more. I thought it was a really, really close matchup. It's one I wouldn't mind having run back in the next 6 or 8 months.
yeah,
I think it's the first guy we've seen give Rafael like a run at Fight to Win.
Yep.
Like everyone else he's faced, like I think he's submitted or like pretty handily out
Squashed.
decisioned. So this was finally like a really good matchup for him, and I'm excited to see now that Yuri's the champion, who basically the Fight to Win is going to choose to have him defend the title against, because like you can beat Rafael, goddamn, you're really good.
yeah.
So moving on to the next match, we had Manuel Ribamar defeating DJ Jackson.
So we saw multiple slams from DJ in this matchup.
Dude, he's built like a human fire hydrant.
Yeah, he's gonna fucking pick you up and put you down.
and you're not gonna
gently.
you're not gonna sweep him.
No,
Like
no.
I do want to make a competition highlight of dudes just failing to sweep DJ Jackson from the guard.
That's probably a really long, really uninteresting highlight video.
Just get little sections of every match where some guy like comes up super hard and DJ just kind of like pressures down, like stops it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at that. You're just not gonna sweep his ass from the
DJ
guard.
is a pressure controller. Like that is his game. I don't know.
And that's what he does.
Yeah, that's what he does. I don't know that really translates to Fight to Win rule set. Like pressure and control is important, but I feel like you have to have against someone who has such a elegant guard as Manuel Ribamar, who has he has an outstanding modern guard, like one of those like pummeling in, can follow you basically everywhere.
Yeah.
You have to have some sneaky shit in the Fight to Win rule set where you can throw up a submission
because they're
before
looking
you
for
feel-
activity,
Yeah.
and they're looking for sub attempts, and they're looking for activity, and just Manuel is able to do more here on the activity side to get him the decision.
If you wait until you control someone like Ribamar, you could be waiting the entire match and then not get to the point where you can set up attacks. So
Yeah, which is kind of what happened.
Yep. So then we have Rafael Formiga Barbosa defeating Nick Greene by armbar. Rafael just smothers Nick from side control, and this is such a great finish. He scoops up the far arm, and he baits Nick into kind of like a reversal, and then that gives him the space that he needs to lock in the straight armbar and re-reverses to finish from top side control.
This whole finishing sequence was just beautiful to watch. Like, honestly, this whole match, I really enjoyed this match. Like Nick Greene's really good. We talked about it last week. I think this is his first shot at a black belt title for Fight to Win, but Formiga is like. He's really fucking
He's
good.
really fucking good.
And you saw him just control Nick Greene up through the positions, get mount, start to staple the arm, start to like step out, and just this whole series of positions where you saw Nick be really active from the bottom trying to escape, and Formiga able to continue to control him while still advancing position and still like working towards to isolate that far arm to get the sub attempt. And I really enjoyed the finishing sequence here.
Yeah.
Like it was usually when you see guys like go for this like basically mounted straight arm lock on guys, they kind of get it as like somebody makes a mistake and just leaves it out there and they're able to capitalize. No, Formiga just took it and very slowly kind of walked up the position and controlled the entire way, and at no point did it look like Greene was going to like be able to reverse him. And usually when guys get this, you see like almost a reversal attempt happen, but that just didn't happen. Barbosa's had such good control of the upper body and the shoulders. It was just really impressive to watch from a control perspective.
So next up, we have Nathalie DeJesus defeating Talita Nogueira by choke.
And that was submission of the night for the black belts.
So multiple bow and arrow attempts from Natalie. It was like just insane. She ultimately gets the finish with the bow and arrow, but she has amazing triangles that she throws up. Good passing from leg weave where she uses a push choke to force the roll and then to get the full on pass. Like Nathalie's just like, she is proficient across all parts of the game. It was very dominating, but good back and forth still. Then we have Leonardo Machado defeating Matthew Waltman by choke. Angel Lopez defeats Sina Haddad by decision. Tony Tipton defeats Kyle Reichmick by decision.
And that was fight of the night for the black belts.
This was a great match. It felt like pro wrestling, but like in a really awesome way. There was like, someone would go for a single leg and then, the other person would escape and re-single leg that person, or like lifting slams. It was scrambly, but it didn't have like that jitteriness of scrambliness that, like scrambling that we see where like people are like fidgeting.
You felt each guy like almost get to an established position and like something he wanted to do, as opposed to like the kind of in and out disengagey scrambling. It was like they're moving, they're kind of each not allowing each other to move through positions, but
it had a little bit of that feel, but in a really good way. Like,
each guy was willing enough to play the other guy's game that it made it really entertaining, which is, again, why it's fight of the night for the black belts, because you saw both there, like a little, not give and take, but no guy was just so married to his game plan that that's all he was going to do.
Exactly. It wasn't like a war of attrition or like, I'm just going to shut this person down. Like, it was just great back and forth. So next up, we have Jordan Gomez defeating Juan Tatum by triangle. Tony Trammell defeats Michael Alexander by decision. Michael Fowler defeats Samuel Snow by decision.
Dude, shout out to Fowler. He came out in like, I think it was Fowler in this match, came out in, what's the word for it? Like a tiger mask. And it was like, oh, this is fucking dope. And the gi, I was like, this is really fucking cool to look. And then he's the guy, he has all the hair. His hair is done up like a tiger, and he's always been like that. So that was exciting.
Vinicius Agudo defeats Vinicius Garcia by decision in the Battle of the Viniciuses.
I really hope my note is correct for that one.
Oh,
honestly, I hope it was Fowler.
Chelsea Lyon defeats Tracy Goodell by heel hook. Mateus Gabriel defeats Justin Rice by choke. Jonathan Hunter defeats Davi Garau by choke. And finally, Seth Daniels defeats George Perez by toe fold, which is a fucking weird way of writing toe hold, which is what I meant to do.
He writes it toe. Wait, did you write toe fold?
No, I copied it. So
yeah, it's toe fold. He calls it a toe fold. That's why.
So with a fucking broken hand, Seth Daniels fucking defeats George Perez. So it doesn't matter that you go after his fucking broken hand. You just piss Seth off more. He has a fucking great electric chair sweep, and he goes and launches into the
Seth
hold.
knows 4 moves.
Yeah.
Like, I want to get that DVD because he does, like, you know what he's going to do. He's going to do the twister. He's going to do the electric chair. He's going to do a Kimura. He's going to do a toe hold. Like, that's what he does.
We saw at least 2 out of those 4 attempts. So
yeah. That's what he does. Like, and you know what he's going to do. He has a DVD on exactly what he's going to do, and he's still going to do it.
He's going to fuck you up.
Shout out to Seth. Dude, dear God, Seth.
What a warrior.
Please, I want to cover Fight to Win 200. Just don't fall apart too much. Like, take some time off. Just commentate.
This is coming from a guy who's falling apart as well. So
yeah, and I have a back. I have like a back support, and I'm on ibuprofen. And like, don't like, Seth. I know what it feels like, man. Just like, I want to see you healthy and compete. Like, take a breather and just commentate for a little bit. Be healthy, man.
So
onto the judo matches for the black belts.
This was fascinating because I learned something watching this, and that is that
what'd you learn, Emil?
The first ippon does not halt the match.
Not for Fight to Win. For Fight to Win,
awesome.
You need 2.
Well, I know that you need 2 to win, but it's not like you get an ippon and then they stand you back up. You get the ippon, and then you can work a fucking submission off of that if you want.
Yeah,
which is fucking great.
That's exciting. It's like, it doesn't. It's so. I like the activity rules. Like, it makes guys be active. So if you get the one ippon, guys don't like drop it, and it makes the guy control through the entirety of the throw and land and begin to work. So you don't land and you're not looking at the ref. Like, you land and then you can look at the ref and control, or you can start transitioning for like the chokes, like old school judo.
Yep. So first match, we have Nyamachir Sanjiral defeating Geronimo Cicero by choke. This was so fucking dope. It was an outside leg trip to a takedown, which I don't think any judo points were scored.
Wait, I don't think any judo points were scored.
No, it was not any ippon or Wazari.
Yeah, Wazari. They don't score Wazari in Fight to Win, but
right.
Like, there's 3 categories of throws in judo. You have Yoko, you have ippon, Wazari, and then you have like a 3rd category of throw, which is like you fart on a guy and you get like a half point kind of.
So anyway, Nyamachir has Geronimo turtled, and Nyamachir goes to mount, and he feeds his own lapel, goes to back control, and he feeds his own lapel under Geronimo's chin, and rolls for almost like a bow and arrow type finish, but with his own gi. It was really, really great. I love seeing the judo guys' finishes from turtle because they get really creative. In jiu-jitsu, we don't always like.
You see a couple. You see like clock chokes and some other like zipper chokes. You see
like,
a couple arm bars.
Usually
but
people like take the back and then start working from there. Or
judo guys like, oh no, judo guys can work from that. That's one position on the ground
that they
that I
work
think
from.
Judo guys
they will finish it immediately from turtle. They don't go to another position. They're like, I'm gonna fucking take you out. I went to the New York Judo Open. Like
we gotta do that sometime. When is that?
It's a ton of fun.
When is that?
I think it's in the springtime, so it should be coming up.
Yeah, let's totally make an effort to go. Let's go.
It's a ton of fun. It's the first grappling event that I went to where like you could have a beer and watch, and it's only one mat, which now is common, but like I remember
back
going
then
to
was uncommon.
Yeah, I was like, this is so fucking awesome. I just see like premier people. This German guy, the guy in the German judo team, like had his opponent turtled, and he grabs his like the belt and behind the collar, and he fucking just hoists him off the ground and then steps over into an inverted triangle and finishes from there. He just like lifts him up.
Dude, we gotta go to this. Was it
so
New York
awesome.
Judo Open?
Yeah,
we gotta go. I gotta look it up, put it on the list, and we're gonna go.
Yeah, it's great.
Is it a weekend thing?
Yeah, it's on the weekend.
Oh, we're golden then.
It's in the New York Athletic Club, which is like, it's surreal. Like is
it super nice, or is it like
it literally? It's a athletic club that has a dress code.
Really?
Like, you need to go in with a certain dress code. And the funny thing is, when I went to attend this event, I wasn't in the dress code, so my friend snuck me in the service elevator to get up there.
We're on a podcast that comes out. People will know.
Yeah.
What year is this?
This is like 2014 or something like that.
Oh, back in the day.
Yeah. It was great. Anyway, next judo match, Garrett Andrews defeats Alan Shibara by decision. This was a great drop seo nagi. I think both opponents were from drop seo nagi.
It looks like it is. Sorry, not to completely cut you off here. April 6th.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd be down to go.
Let's go.
It's a lot of fun.
Let's go.
It's a lot of fun.
All right.
Next, we have Ryan Reeser defeating Eric Kierkegaard by Ippon. This is another great match. It's hilarious because the announcers are still adjusting to judo. Like, one of them was like, "That's 2 points," instead of like saying Ippon.
But we're doing judo now, sir. That is 1 point, which is all you need in judo. Actually, technically, it's like 7 points, but whatever.
Both Ippon come from sumigaeshi, which is fuck you, Josh. I know what sumigaeshi is. It's the sacrifice throw where basically you are hooking. It's almost like a butterfly sweep type, rolling over your head. You take your opponent over your head with a butterfly sweep. This is my favorite. This is probably my top 3 favorite throws. And so behind the curtain here, you don't know why Emil just called out Josh, because we had a very heated discussion in the Grappling Rewind discussion chat about this move. Probably 2 or 3 weeks ago at this point. Yeah.
And images were posted and video instructionals were posted, and it was a spirited discussion.
Yes. But anyway, these were sumigaeshi, and for the opponents. And then finally we have Nathan Kearney defeating Sean Burns by Ippon in brown belts.
On to the brown belt results.
Here we go. Bobby Alexander defeats Wally Thompson.
So I didn't know if you were going there still, and I didn't want to cut you off.
I was just trying to jack your shit.
You do that, Emil.
So Bobby Alexander defeats Wally Thompson by triangle armbar. Buddy Roberts defeats Matthew Barry by paper cutter. Benjamin Annunziato defeats Jason Bright by decision.
And that was fight of the night for the brown belts.
Really nice sweeps here. Ben is on bottom, and he's about to get passed. And he, in fact, I think he was passed. And he hooks his leg in for the butterfly, BJ Penn style. And then he does an awesome, so he gets the sweep.
What's that regard called?
I always think of it as a BJ Penn regard.
Like it's got a name. Like I know it was the BJ Penn, like the BJ Penn regard, but it's like not called a jailbreak, is it? It's called might be called a jailbreak.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think I'm missing 2 things up, but I always mix that up. The 10 planar thing is called the fly trap, and that's when you put like the opposite leg over and swip them over. But I think the jailbreak is what BJ Penn does. Yeah.
The fly trap is when you're on bottom side and you kick over, I think, into a triangle position. So Ben is on top. He gets an awesome Toriano kind of step over pass, and by that point, it's just fucking domination. So then we have Dulces Flores defeating Chuck Adam by decision. Felipe Timoteo defeats Anthony Cronce by guillotine.
And that was submission of the night for the brown belts.
So this was a great loop choke. Felipe is in knee cut position, and he starts attacking a collar choke. And then Anthony kind of comes up and turtles, and Felipe swings around into a kind of like, it looks like he just has a front headlock, but in fact he's got the loop choke, and he puts him to sleep. He puts Anthony out cold on his feet, and he just kind of like, the ref steps in, does a great call, stops the match, and Anthony's kind of like turtled and then just like collapses over on his
and you
side.
see, it's one of those, like, you watch him fall asleep and you're like, yep, he's asleep.
Oh,
He's done.
He's out.
I love watching guys get put to sleep. Every week, I'm happy that Fight to Win runs so many matches because we usually see somebody get put to sleep.
Yep.
And I love that on a pro event because it means guys are working hard.
So then we have Reggie Jeff defeats Mark Botandari by Americana. Jack Garrett defeats Mike Anderson by decision. Kevin Holland defeats Kyle Short by decision. Enrique Rossi defeats Jorge Vasquez Jr. by decision. Mateus Luna defeats Grant Gunderson by decision. Victoria Marcial Antelante defeats Audrey Wolf.
On to the purple belt results. My announcer voice there.
Keaton Standridge defeats Levi Golding by armbar.
And that was Friday night for the purple belts.
Donnie King defeats Matthew Barry by neck crank.
And that was submission of the night for the purple belts.
Theo Lee defeats Brian Cutts by armbar. Anthony Robinson defeats Josh Mosquea by heel hook. Kevin McCormick defeats Chris Shaw by decision. Carla Shellhammer defeats Beth Willers by triangle. Joshua Sutton defeats Matthew Handy by triangle.
So that does it for the results. Dude, it is awesome to see Fight to Win paying out 50 grand. Literally, as we talk about Meta Morris not paying guys, Fight to Win posting that they paid an event 50 grand.
Yep.
Sorry, $50,080 in salaries and commissions.
Yep.
Like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it proves, these guys prove that you can pay your athletes, and these guys run events across the country every single week.
Yeah.
And it's not just like guys you've never heard of, like your local purple belts, like guys like myself and Emil. It's like Lovato and Yuri and DJ Jackson and Ribamar and Barbosa and like Formiga and Natalia DeJesus, like big names. They can headline cards and they're paying the guys.
Yep.
So again, I still feel like we don't give Fight to Win enough love for like what they do for the sport on like the super fight scene and like the local scene for these super fight events. You know, props to them, paying their athletes 50 grand
and competing in it too.
Yes, yeah. Dear God, man, take a break.
But yeah,
So.
I think this is 104 was amazing. It was the biggest. I think it was the biggest card that they've had. So
I wouldn't
awesome.
disagree at all. So on to the next one. So on to our recap of the Ultimate Mat Warriors 4. This event was a 125-pound flyweight tournament that had a couple of standout guys in it. We previewed the entire event last week. There's a couple matches I want to talk about from it. The entire event is up on YouTube, on Scott Holler's YouTube page.
Ultimate Mat Warriors 4 Flyweights is what the video name is. You can find it on YouTube.
5.5 hours of super fights and flyweights, and definitely worth it. There's two matches I want to talk about particularly. Marcello Cohen, that was a weird way to say that. Marcello Cohen versus Austin Daffrin. Austin Daffrin was the 125-pound qualifier that got into this tournament through winning the finisher 7 in 10th Planet Bethlehem. So he was
a stone cold motherfucker too. He's
Dude.
so cool in this. Like, doesn't matter what the situation is. He's just super chill. He's confident in what he's doing. Like, even in sometimes in really bizarre positions.
Yeah. So him and Cohen both really impressed me in this. Again, Cohen we knew going in was one of the top-ranked roosterweights in the world, and this was a matchup I was really excited to hopefully see. And luckily, they're on the same side of the bracket, so we saw them meet in the semifinals. And dude, Cohen's a tough dude to beat.
Yeah. Yeah, also kind of unorthodox too. Like at one point he locks up a closed guard.
And Daffrin ends up standing up to kind of like try to get out of it. And Cohen goes, oh, cool, and just launches over and grabs like the Kimura and then holds on to that Kimura as Daffrin stands up for, I think, like 3 minutes or more.
I don't know if it's 3, but definitely over 2. It's a while, and it makes sense. Like in a way, like if you get the Kimura grip, don't ever fucking give up the Kimura grip. Like,
and also as a guy, the guy standing now, it's the onus to get the grip broken. It's really hard to break the grip. And as the guy that's being held up, you can now rest your weight on that Kimura grip, and it takes the weight off of your abs and on your legs.
Yeah.
But also these guys are flyweights, so it's like at the small weight classes, guys can hold forever.
Yeah, Dafron is super cool. He's like, okay, this is a weird position, but he's correctly doesn't react to it.
Yep, just kind of holds off and waits, and eventually, like, these guys go to overtime.
Yep.
And
yeah, it's there's a deep knee bar, by the way, at one point. Holy shit.
That was actually Cohen's match before.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. They were both, so Dafron and the gentleman before that was competing against Cohen both had like a really similar purple rash guard on, and we just watched them both matches back to back, and I got, again, confused.
A little blending, yeah. But yeah, it goes to overtime.
Yep, and Dafron wins via fastest escape in overtime. So in the finals, we have Austin Dafron versus Jesus Urbina. I'm just going to call him Urbina because I feel like I'm going to keep butchering his first name. This match was fireworks. So Urbina keeps falling back for what looks like a straight ankle lock or a heel hook, and Dafron keeps just like almost taking the back off of it repeatedly. It's like 3 separate times in the match you see this happen.
Urbina also repeatedly hits drop Seoinage, which is impressive in no-gi.
Yeah.
But yeah, he keeps sitting back into an outside heel hook, and
from like standing position. So Dafron will be down, kind of scooting, and then Urbina will grab it and then like sit back for it, and then Dafron will kind of almost not address it and just start this kind of back taking sequence.
He'll kind of like roll a little bit, create space with the hips, and then loop around and start to take the back. It's a little dangerous because he sometimes leaves the leg that's being attacked still in between Urbina's legs, and it's almost like a knee barring position. Like, fairly
Urbina's never really able to fall off and go for it, but
right.
I saw the same thing. I went, I'm not sure if it's not something I'm seeing, or if potentially Urbina can make that adjustment and hop the leg to go for the knee bar in that position. We don't see him do it, but it was interesting to see kind of. The first time I saw it, I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And the second time and the third time I saw it, I was like, okay, this is a repeated
it's like
sequence.
A liability at one point.
Yeah, there's a repeated sequence. Like, I'm not sure exactly if this will play out for Dafron, but eventually it doesn't, and they go into regulation finishes. They go into overtime, and the finishing sequence for overtime. So Dafron escapes, then he gets on Urbina's back, and he gets in the rear naked choke, and he starts to lock it up, and Urbina's defending, and then
gets body lock. Then he gets the forearm under the chin, and it's
Urbina stands up, and starts to like defend it. And we've talked about this on the show before about the efficiency of guys standing up to defend the rear naked choke when a guy has the body lock like this. And I said I didn't really understand it before, and then like 2 weeks later when we talked about it initially on the show, probably like 6 or 8 months ago, there was a guy that basically escaped using a certain escape by standing up, but I don't see guys escape very frequently from the stood up position like this.
Like if you do, I feel like it's an immediate thing. Like you pop up and they haven't like established themselves, and then they fall off.
But with that deep body triangle under the chin,
if you come up and they don't immediately fall off, I don't see what the advantage of standing up is.
Unless you can slam. Unless you can slam, then maybe you get one. But even then, we have a compilation of a highlight on our Instagram page. We put a show video up there of a guy repeatedly trying to slam out of the back mount, and it's just I find it to be a really it's the last shot for the escape, and if you don't get it, it's very rare that we see guys effectively able to get out of it, because once you've stood up, unless you can slam, you can't really bring the guy back to the mat. There's really unless you kind of fall to the side and then you have your weight and my weight on my knees at some weird angle, and you're kind of committed to the stand up at that point. And it's really great. Dafron gets a really deep rear naked choke, is able to get the victory, and wins $3,000.
Yeah.
So
outstanding production value, by the way.
Oh my God, I was super impressed. And we had Brandon McCaffrin from 10th Planet Decatur, I think one of the Alabama gyms, commentating. I think we've heard him on EBI too. Like, he's a good commentator. I enjoyed his commentary on this event.
Yeah, it was
I'm
outstanding.
happy to have him. He explained positions. He spoke intelligently about the matches. He kept me interested. Like, really, really pleased with it. And the whole production value was great. I hope we start seeing these more frequently because I think we've only ever covered Ultimate Mat Warriors one other time on the show. And the production values it was even better from last time. Like, it was just a really great event. They've got a dope-ass belt. I wonder what weight class they'll choose next time. Because I'm happy to see the lighter guys getting showcased, but I'm curious if they're gonna go to different weight classes now. Or like what weight class they're gonna go to next.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, great event.
Great event. Find it on YouTube. So on to our recap of SOGI, their inaugural event. This event featured a bantamweight, a welterweight, a middleweight, and a heavyweight tournament, as well as a number of super fights. We're going to touch on some of the finals matches for the event. We're going to start, Emil.
Well, let's talk about our boy Junny Ocasio fighting our boy Sam Michael. Junny Ocasio wins. This is bantamweight. He has a fucking awesome triangle armbar from the mount that he sets up.
Dude, I really like it's like not a trito, but he like walks up nice and slowly. It looks like they're both real tired at the end here. And he walks up nice and slowly, steps over, and he's able to get a really, really nice transition over. And he finishes it. He doesn't like fall back on the arm. He falls forward on the arm. And it was a really interesting like downward finish on it where he's controlling the shoulders really, really well to get the armbar. Super, super nice finish. Super clean finish as well.
Good adjustments. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Next up at welterweight, we have Michael Kastroba
versus Luke Nassir.
And damn, it looks like Luke was kind of inverting for a leg attack, and Michael just sees a fucking opening, leaps on it, grabs the back, and he just fucking starts attacking.
Well, then he starts Vagner Rocha-ing him.
Yeah,
which is what that's called now. Basically, the smother choke from the back, where you start to basically attack the front of the face in order to get the person to either deal with the face being attacked or start raising the head up to give you the leverage to put the arm underneath the neck.
Yep.
And he does it repeatedly. He does it, and he's getting the face, moving the face, and all of a sudden he gets the arm in, goes to the rear naked choke, and that's all that they wrote. So on to the middleweights, we had Zach Edwards versus Enrique Galarza.
Enrique ends up winning that. Zach is really tough, so that's...
Yeah, Zach was actually in two different divisions for this tournament. He was in the welterweights and the middleweights.
Hell yeah.
So, goddamn, props
stepping
to him.
it up.
Yep. So, Galarza gets that as the middleweights. And then as the heavyweight champion, we have Viktor Vaughn. And I haven't been able to find, again, I haven't been able to go through the end of the video yet to see this matchup, but should be a lot of fun.
So, the videos are starting to come up on SOGI's Facebook page. You can find that at SOGI Official. And
on Facebook, yeah.
On Facebook, and they're starting to post all those videos. So check them out. It was a lot of fun, really interesting matchups, and really entertaining jiu-jitsu coming out of that.
And they have a second event announced, and they're going to showcase the women in like a quintet format.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. So the number 2 event is going to be happening on May 25th at 12 o'clock, SOGI 2, Women's Absolute and Team Quintet.
So this is a no point, no decision, no time limit style event. It's submission only.
Yeah, we saw some matches going over 30 minutes long, so a lot to digest, a lot of grappling to watch.
Hell yeah.
So on to the preview section. Polaris 9 happens on Friday, March 15th, 2019. It's going to be in the UK at the Indigo at the O2 Arena at some time zone that I'm going to not be able to figure out. The UK is between 3 and 7 hours away from Eastern Standard Time.
It's 5 hours.
5 hours away from our time.
Yep.
And this event is headlined by Rafael Lovato Jr. taking on Jake Shields at a catch weight of 90.7 kilograms, and this is a no-gi bout.
That's going to be fucking awesome.
This will be great. This is a tough matchup for Shields.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted. Like this...
Although Shields is fucking amazing, too. Like
he's really good.
He's a good grappler.
I think we're going to see some wrestling in this.
Hell
it would
yeah.
not surprise me because both these guys are like, especially with Rafael going more into no-gi. What'd I say?
You said half.
Did I fuck it up again?
Yeah, dude.
Jesus. Rafael going more into MMA. Like, we've seen him really work on his wrestling. He specifically talked about working on his wrestling in a recent podcast.
Oh, do you think Jake Shields has some fucking MMA wrestling too?
And I think he might.
He might.
We may have seen it before. You know,
might have in the welterweight champion of Strikeforce. Like,
he's a little bit of an X factor when it comes to, like, you know, his wrestling. We're not quite sure how he stacks up.
Yeah,
I really hope the sarcasm is coming over here on the mic.
Jake Shields not only is he an incredible wrestler through MMA, he's outstanding jiu-jitsu, trains with the Diaz brothers.
Has a Wikipedia page. That's all you got to know. Has a Wikipedia page. Look him up.
Yeah, look him up. He trains with the Henzo guys now.
Yeah, this is a tough matchup for Jake Shields. I think Rafael is one of the most accomplished. Again, we talk about him almost every week now.
And you fucked his name up again.
Did I? Fuck.
I'm going to fucking get a spray bottle for you,
Rafael
yes.
is one of the top, if most decorated Americans of all time. This is a tough matchup for anyone, so excited. Also, betting. You can bet on this matchup.
Fuck yeah.
You should bet on this matchup.
Unless you're Maine. Don't bet Maine.
Yeah, I'm going to bet.
Don't do that.
If it's legal in your country.
I need you to keep this house so that we have a recording studio
for
the podcast.
Next matchup.
Ffion Dvaies versus Gezary Matuda.
Gezary. Again, this is a ladies under 55 kilogram no-gi bout. Sure to be fireworks. Deservedly at the top of the card. This will be great. This is awesome. I'm super excited. Either one of these ladies could take this match.
Yeah.
Next matchup, one of my favorite grapplers to cover because he is one of the meanest dudes to watch compete. Vagner, Mr. Competition Rocha versus Ross Nichols. This is a welterweight 77.1 kilogram no-gi bout. Deservedly on the top of the card.
Dude, Ross Nichols is a fucking savage in his own right. He took ADCC trials in Europe, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought he was Australian, then he's not. He's UK. Jesus.
Yes.
For some reason, I'm looking at the pictures right now, and his face kind of looks like Lachlan Giles'. Like, the profile image is like a very similar angle, and I was like, that's not Lachlan Giles, and it's not.
No, but that's going to be a fire fucking match.
That's a great matchup. And both guys are going to ADCC.
Yep.
So, again, this is another, like, preview for ADCC matchup. I think these guys are both in the same division for ADCC, so we're going to start to see these guys get matched up on super fights, like, as these get announced. We'll probably see some preview matches for ADCC, so super exciting. Below that, we have Tom Halpin versus Ethan Krellenstein, another guy.
What'd
I say?
Krellenstein.
I always make it Stein.
I know.
I am not the
Ethan
name
Krellenstein.
Another ADCC guy that won the trials and he won the East Coast trials for North America, is going to ADCC 2019. This is a great matchup.
Subbed his way into the finals.
Yeah. Super impressive. Below that, we have Darren O'Connell versus Mike Perez in a middleweight bout. Then underneath that, we have Santeri Luis versus Eduardo Tetra Rios. And then on the preliminary card, you got Tommy Langacker on the preliminary card versus Sebastian Borsch.
Yep. Owen O'Flanagan versus Tarek Hopstock. Ed Engemels versus Ash Amos.
That's a sleeper matchup. That's a under 110 kilogram catchweight no-gi bout. That's a sleeper matchup. This next matchup is awesome, and I'm super excited about it. His name is listed as Frederic. Frederic Vosgrone versus Halor Logie Valsen. Freddie's the dude that comes out in the singlet.
Yep.
That we've seen at Grapple Fest, like 3 and 4.
Yep.
Dude, he is a dude to watch.
Yeah.
Like, super exciting.
Very entertaining.
Nice leg locker, good control, good pressure wrestler. Like, finally happy he's getting on Polaris. Like, definitely a dude that deserves to be here.
We have a bunch of other matches on this undercard.
We have Jamie Hughes. We have Nobuhiro Sawada. We have Jack Tilley. Like, this is an outstanding event. Do not miss this event. It's gonna be hot fire. Dial on.
Awesome.
On to our preview of Fight to Win 105 in Tulsa, Oklahoma, happening on March 15th. This event is main evented by 175-pound black belt gi match Vitor Oliveira versus #1 ranked IBJJF black belt Izaki Bahens. Vitor Oliveira is ranked #3. Nothing to shake a stick at. What's the word there?
Yeah.
Nothing to laugh at.
Nothing to laugh at.
Nothing to laugh at. Like
nothing to scoff at.
Nothing to scoff at. That's much better. This is an amazing matchup. I love watching Izaki Bahens compete.
Yep, he's a savage.
Put on some highlight performances against a number of guys. Below that, we have a 215-pound no-gi bout, Tyler Lee versus
Leandro Paseca.
Under that, we have a 200-pound judo matchup.
We have Michael Ballestero versus Scott McCann.
Then we have a 185-pound black belt no-gi bout.
Kevin Williams versus Daniel Roberts.
180-pound black belt gi match.
Todd Ryan versus Luke Woodard.
150-pound no-gi bout.
Jose Loera versus Todd Walling.
And we had 200-pound brown belt gi match.
Tyler Murrah versus Troy Everett.
The Night Pigeon Everett. Troy, come out with a good walkout. We're counting on you in Tulsa.
Maine demands it.
I don't demand shit from Troy, but I request that he comes out doing something funny or come out to a dope 90s / 80s pop song.
There you go.
So underneath that, we have a matchup I'm really excited for as well. 180-pound brown belt no-gi bout. Hunter Colvin versus, give me the name there.
Brian Grinnell.
Yeah, I'm super scared of the names there. That should be a lot of fun. We just saw Hunter on versus Kyle Bain. What was he on?
I cannot remember.
It was Combat Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We just saw him there beat Kyle Bain, so he's a dude definitely to watch out for coming up. After that, we have a 175-pound brown belt gi bout.
Steve Hudson versus Sean Blay.
We have a number of other really standout brown belt matches all the way, some purple belt matches, no-gi bouts, all the way down to the kids and teens. I don't think we have any other titles on the card going down, but this should be a lot of fun event. This should be a really fun event. Definitely tune in. Anything else, Emil?
That's it.
We got one more event to preview, and that is a super fight matchup between Gilbert Burns and Gleison Tebow happening on Titan FC 53. I'm not quite sure where this is going to be streamed yet, wherever actually Titan is. I think it's on Fight Pass, honestly. It's where they used to stream the fights. I remember watching Tim Elliott walk backwards towards guys after he'd been cut from the UFC and beat the shit out of them and win Titan belts. So this is really exciting. I do not know if this is a combat jiu-jitsu matchup or just a standard jiu-jitsu matchup. This should be a lot of fun. Dorino's, again, a former world champion. Gleison Tebow is a been around forever. Also, high-level black belt, great grappler. This should be a lot of fun. I'm super excited about this. I'm happy that Titan's starting to put on some more grappling because anything that lets me watch more grappling makes me excited. Woo! That's all you got to add, Emil?
Yeah.
Just woo.
Yeah.
I assume this is a no-gi bout. So this happens on March 15th. If you want more information about it, check our events calendar where I hopefully will have the streaming location linked.
Yeah.
So that does it for this week on the show.
By the way, those events you can find at grapplingrewind.com.
We have a website. It works now.
Yeah, that's grapplingrewind.com.
Also, we have articles.
Yeah.
And we have links to the podcast. And we have...
Josh getting thrown around for his black belt promotion.
Yeah, we have Josh getting thrown through a table on the site. And we have links to us and like a little blurb about each one of the members of the team. Very short that I wrote up one evening. I was like, what do these guys do? Goddamn, everyone does like 15 things on this show.
Yeah.
So that does it for this week. You got anything else going on this week?
Nah, man.
Are you in next week?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. We get to talk about Polaris.
Woo.
And you finally get to stop missing like major events.
Yeah.
Have you covered you covered one quintet, right?
Yeah, one quintet.
Of all of them, you managed to cover one quintet.
Great quintet, too.
Yeah. So anything else going on?
That's it, man.
Awesome.
It's pretty quiet. Captain Marvel was fun.
This is like the comic book section of the show every week.
Yeah.
It was Into the Spider-Verse last week. Now it's Captain Marvel this week.
Into
I haven't watched any.
Spider-Verse is fucking incredible.
I gotta watch it. I'm just not a comic book guy, man. Like everyone else fucking loves comic books. It's just like never been my jam.
Well, you're a fucking weirdo, man.
Yeah, do a jiu-jitsu podcast and watch 15 hours of jiu-jitsu a weekend. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Not surprised.
Yeah, dude.
So that does it for this week on the show. As always, I'm your host, Maine.
I'm your co-host, Emil.
And we are the Grappling Rewind. We'll see you on the mats. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
let us know.
Reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.